This is the only camera that you need if you're planning to start your motovlogging journey in 2024. Now, when I say this is the only camera that you need, I don't mean this particular brand or this particular camera. What I'm talking about is the type of camera that it is, which would be a 360 camera. So let me show you some real world examples to add weight to my statements. Alright, it's sunny out there. The sky is kind of blue, kind of gray. Let's get going on the motorbike. We're back out here at the farm with our new Royal Enfield Himalayan 450, and we're gonna go for a ride to test the GoPro Max 360 in the real world, and I'll show you guys how I use it for my motovlogs. So this camera came out in 2019, and that's when I purchased it. And as I said, it's a 360-degree camera, which means it has lenses on either sides of it, and each lens records 180 degrees. So it records the top, it records the bottom, it records the front, it records the back, and it records the left, and it records the right. So it records all around, and then those files are stitched together, giving you a all-around view. And now when I move around, you see the camera is following me, and that's not because I have someone rotating the camera as I move. That's because the camera is recording 360, and then later in the editing process, I'm moving the footage around. That's giving you the feel that there is someone rotating the camera as I'm moving. To shoot slow motions in GoPro Max 360, you would have to reduce the resolution from 5K down to 3K, because in GoPro Max 360 there is no option for you to shoot at higher shutter speeds with higher resolution. So you would have to trade in the clarity that you get at higher resolution with the smooth slow motion effect. So in order to get that effect, you would have to reduce the resolution from 5K to 3K, and that's how you do it. So you tap on the 360 video 5K 25 at the bottom, and then you tap on this edit option, and here you have the resolution and the frame rates per second. So you go 3K and you go 50 frames per second. If you are staying at 5.6K and if you select the 50 frames per second, it's automatically gonna go down to 3K 50 frames per second. Alright, now let's do a little handstand walk and see how the slow motion looks. One more time. Alright. Shit. Gotta practice a little more. So you let me know in the comments down below, how did that slow motion look recorded at 720p 60 frames per second. So really low resolution. And I would say that this is the bummer of GoPro Max 360, because the competitors of GoPro Max 360, that gives you a much better option to record at higher resolutions and even at higher shutter speeds. And I don't know why there hasn't been any update since 2020 on this camera. It's been more than 4 years, and there is no other 360 camera out yet from GoPro, whereas the market has evolved so much in terms of 360 cameras. Alright, so now after the slow motion, let's go out on a ride and see what this thing can do. Today we do not have the sun out, and I'm glad it's a little colder, so that sounds good. And talking of the sound, I would like to tell you something else about GoPro Max. There is no option for you to attach an external microphone to the GoPro Max 360. There is no hardware option, there is no software option. So you cannot connect an external microphone to GoPro Max at all. So that's one of the major downside of using GoPro Max 360 as a motovlogging camera, because you need to be able to record the crisp, clear audio while riding your motorcycle, and that's only possible when you have an external mic connected to the camera and the mic is placed inside the helmet. Look at this guy. You would have to buy an external sound recorder and connect your external microphone to that and record the sound, and then in the post-production sync the audio to the video, which is another time-consuming task. So man, I mean, in this price range that GoPro Max 360 comes in at, we have so many wonderful, I would say, competitors and wonderful cameras. I mean, they allow the option for you to record high frame rate at high resolutions, and they allow you to connect external microphones to them. So I don't know when the GoPro is going to have the update ready, or when they are going to release the GoPro Max version 2. There are rumors that GoPro is in the working of releasing the new GoPro Max 2, and they would release it by the September of 2024. I don't believe that. Rumors are rumors, right? So that's one of the downside of GoPro Max 360. Alright, so let me pull here by the side of the road, because the next thing that I would like to talk to you about related to GoPro Max 360 has everything to do with the mounting positions. My GoPro is mounted on the windshield of my Himalayan 450, and one of the great advantages of mounting your GoPro Max 360 at this position is you can use this one camera as two cameras. So what I'm saying, let me demonstrate. So right now the camera is looking at me, and you, the audience, are focused on the rider. But if I would like to show you my perspective, what I'm looking at, without touching anything, without adding an additional camera to my setup, I can quickly flip the screen in post-production and show you what I am looking at. So it's like one camera doing the job of two camera. And that's one of the main reason I would say why I suggest everybody to use a 360 camera when they are starting out with the motovlogs, because you do not have to spend extra money on additional camera. Now, I do have this DJI Osmo Action 4, and there is a reason why do I have it. I started my motovlog journey with the GoPro Max 360, and soon I realized that if I would like to enhance my video game, I would have to have a 4K quality recording camera. So GoPro Max doesn't record 4K, and the DJI Osmo Action 4 does. Now there are other 360 cameras that records 4K, and you can have that camera instead of purchasing additional camera. But then another downside of 360 cameras is, and that's about all the 360 camera out there, not just GoPro Max 360, and that is the ND filter. You cannot connect an ND filter to a 360 camera. No one is making them. It just sounds like completely surprising, but it's true that no one in the world is making the ND filters for 360 cameras yet. Maybe that's because of the type of lens they have, the round pointy outwards, and that could also affect the stitching of the footage if you add ND filters to them. But as of today, there are no ND filters, and what ND filter does is it gives you the motion blur. So this is the footage from my DJI Osmo Action 4, which you're looking at right now, and the edges, the corners of the screen, they should look blurry because I have this ND filter attached, and it allows me to shoot at slower shutter speed. So the things that are in motion, they're gonna look blurry, and that's how our human eyes perceive the real world when we are in motion. It perceives things that we are not focused at as blurry. So our eyes, when we are not focusing at something and we are in motion, everything else gonna get blurry. The only thing that we are focusing at, it's gonna stay sharp, and that's what ND filter does. And there are so many options available for you to attach ND filters to your 4K single lens camera, but there are no options for you to have ND filters on your GoPro Max 360 camera. So that's another bummer, people, and that's why I would say start out motovlogging with a 360 camera, and then once you get comfortable doing the motovlogs, you can anytime add an extra camera to your setup. Now, when I was talking about the motion blur, yes, the ND filters, they do give you this motion blur effect. And GoPro Quick app, there is an app from GoPro called GoPro Quick. It does not allow you to add digital motion blur to your footage, but the Insta360 app, it does allow you to add extra motion blur to your footage, the additional motion blur. let me demonstrate how that looks like. So this is how the video looks like with the digital motion blur applied on it using Insta360 app, and this is without. You can see the details in the bricks and on the trees on the side of the road. And when you apply digital motion blur on your video, it gives you a sense of speed. Especially with the motovlogs, it looks really cool. You can see on the left here we have the digital motion blur applied, and on the right it's not. So the right one looks boring, and that's why using anti-filter and getting the motion blur is really important for me. So let me quickly demonstrate how easier it is to add anti-motion blur to your 360 footage if you have one recorded by a 360 camera without the anti-filter. So you need to install this app Insta360. It's available on their website insta360.com, and it's available for Mac and it's available for PC as well. You quickly drop your files here, you select go open file. You import the files in your project section right here, and you double click on the file. It's gonna open up in this editing window, and all you have to do is this anti-motion blur option. You have to select this one. That's it. And now it says that it can only be previewed, the blurriness can only be previewed when the video is gonna be in motion. So if we play the video right now, you see how the edges just got blurry. You can choose the intensity of the blurriness too by going here on the right side. As I'm increasing the intensity, the edges, they look more and more blurry. But in order to keep it more realistic, I always, or most of the times, I try to keep it at 50. And the other cool feature that this Insta360 app has is the tracking option. So basically when you are working on a 360 file, what you have to do is you have to go here, you have to add a keyframe. Let's say you want to have a keyframe right here. The keyframe is installed, and if in the next moments or after a few seconds, if you would like to rotate the video, you would have to rotate it manually with your mouse, and then you have to add another keyframe. And what's gonna happen now is when you play back, the camera is gonna switch by itself, and it can switch back again if you add another keyframe here and select the scene that you would want the camera to be focused on after reframing. That's how it can do that. So you're going back to where you started. So this is one way of doing the motion in your 360 video in the post, and that's how I was tracking myself in the beginning of this video. I mean, not that's how, because that's a lot of work. The other option that you can do, let me show you a quick tip right here. You delete all these keyframes first of all, and then what you gotta do is you have to select this deep track option. So when you select the deep track option, it will ask you to select a target or an object that you would want to be focused on. And what you can do is just select your target and click start tracking. It will track your subject, and it will keep your subject in the frame, in the middle of the frame. So right now I am being tracked by the tracker in this Insta360 app. But if I would like to track something else, let's say I want to track that tree right there. So what you can do is go again into the tracking option and select that tree and click start tracking. And what it's gonna do now is stop tracking, and if you play it back, see how the camera is moving? The camera just moved a little. So that's how you can track the subjects in your video if you have a 360 video. And also, while staying on the 360 app, I would like to say this is another bummer of Max 360 GoPro Max, that the GoPro Quick app that does not have the option of either deep tracking or the anti-motion blur. So you have to go there by keyframe, and the motion between the keyframes is not that smooth, and it's just kind of jittery, and it's a lot of work. So I don't know why GoPro is not updating their app. It's been so long, and kudos to Insta360, man. They have these wonderful options available. Alright, now let's jump back into the video, and let me tell you why you need a GoPro Max 360. Oops, my bad. You do not need a GoPro Max 360. Let me tell you why you need a 360 camera if you're doing motovlogs. Note the GoPro Max 360. And yes, it's not worth buying GoPro Max 360 in 2024 because there are other better options available in the market today when it comes to 360 cameras. But there is one super edge that all the 360 cameras has over a single lens camera, and that would be the movements that you can do in the post-production on your videos that you recorded, and you can't do that on a single lens camera. So what you're looking at right now is a time lapse that I recorded. Actually, it's a time warp that I recorded using GoPro Max 360, and it's just amazing, man, that I can change the surroundings and I can show my viewers all sorts of different angles while staying within the same time lapse. It's just wonderful. I mean, yeah, it's cool to have the movements in the simple video too, but it's a time lapse and you can have movements in a time lapse. It just looks out of the world. Motovlogs in general gives the viewer a feel that they are riding the motorcycle, while the rider shows them the world around in the video. And that's why I would say that if you're starting out, if you are a beginner motovlogger, you should purchase a 360 camera, because then you would not have to, be regretful that you do not have another camera to capture another angle. You have one camera doing the job of two cameras. But once you're done with that, once you get used to making videos and once you begin to grow as a motovlogger, I would suggest invest in a 4K good quality single lens camera that allows you to add anti-filters and that allows you to record the voiceover by attaching an external microphone. To be honest, that's what makes your video professional. That's what gives your video the look of a professional, the good quality audio and the good quality motion blur video. So yeah, my opinion would be to go for the latest 360 camera that you can purchase, stick to it for an year or two, and then buy yourself a single lens camera, and then you would have 3 to 4 cameras. I mean, in reality you would have 2 cameras, but then those 2 cameras would be doing the job of 3 to 4 cameras, if you know what I mean. So yeah, man, that's what I think about 360 cameras.